You're listening to Sit, Talk, and Listen podcast with your hosts, Payroll Rob and Xavi Bauer.
Hello. What's up, everybody? We're here.
You wanted prep. You got it.
We didn't prep for shit.
We prepped.
We didn't prep.
More prep than we've done.
Nobody knows for sure. We got to keep the veil over people's eyes.
We have a
didn't
dossier.
Prep shit. We got no dossier.
We have no dossier.
It's January 8th, 2025. Welcome. We are into the brand new year, Xavi. We've been welcomed into a new year here locally with some nice snow and ice.
No ice and nothing that nice.
Yeah.
I was swerving a little bit on the way out here.
Oh yeah, and then the snow stopped coming down like more than 2 days ago. It's been like 48 hours, and we still got rough patches on the road. I mean, you'd think that they'd have this snow removal process down. I guess not. I don't know. What did you stay home during the day that it was coming down? Was that Sunday mostly?
Yesterday was the first day in 3 days that I stepped out of my house. You know, I went to Schnucks 2 days before they played because I didn't want to be the one going like the day before.
Yeah.
So luckily I got there, got a bunch of ground beef and all the stuff that I thought I might.
All the fixins.
Mm-hmm. I got all that stuff, and then me and Corey were just hunkered down.
That sounds nice.
Billy was gone, but he left the PlayStation, so we got a lot of. It was kind of old school, like it was like
Snow
a throwback to childhood. Yeah, we played a lot of 2K together. It was fun. I mean, it sucked. It was like we left. I got up yesterday and finally shoveled the driveway because I was like,
somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, so I did it. Interacted with my neighbors for like the first time in a year and a half.
Wow.
Across the street.
Howdy, neighbors.
Yeah.
I was out and about clearing snow of some of the properties that I take care of, their landscaping and whatnot. So I was out in it mostly from the time it started till the time it got done.
Well, like 3 days ago, like the first night that it happened, like the big snow, What was that, Sunday night?
Yeah, into Monday.
Sunday into Monday. I'm sitting in the living room and I hear a knock on my door and I was like, who the hell is out? This guy with his business card saying like, oh, call me tomorrow. I'll be plowing streets and whatnot. I was like, thanks. I'll do it myself, guy.
Yeah. Hey, it's big business if you're an outdoor worker, like a landscaper of the type, you can make your winter monies if you get a good little winter storm. So I'm fighting off the soreness today. This is my first day finally getting to relax and take it easy. I've been working since last week or whatever. Well, yeah, I had work leading up to the storm and then through the storm. So it's nice.
I haven't worked since it happened.
There you go. Hey, it's all right. Get it in where you can.
I quit FedEx.
Woo! Moving on up.
Now, last episode, I think I touched on that I walked out of FedEx, got called, came back.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this week, so it's Monday night. We had a snow day that day. They called off all routes.
We deserve.
And my boss texted me and was like, hey, I took some stuff off your route tomorrow. Don't want you trying the dangerous stuff. And I was like, I'm off Tuesdays.
Yeah.
He said, no, you're not. You're off today. And I was like, whoa.
Hey there. Everybody's off today.
Yeah. So just had some thoughts,
Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, I did. I prayed on it. And I just texted him and was like, yeah.
About that. I'm off forever now, bitch.
Basically just said that this isn't for me. And well, I'm just going to touch on this, but we can get back to the weather. But 4 years after leaving Rosalita's in the pair,
I figured we could spend at least 30 minutes on the weather. That's what people want these days.
I'm coming back to Rosalita's. It feels like it's home.
Yeah,
it always has been my home away from home, and
making the strong return to the Cadillac of restaurants in town.
Coming back like Jordan,
to pair,
wearing the 4-5.
It's going to be Xavi Bauer bringing top-notch service to a table near you.
Yeah, dude.
But never tableside guac. Don't order that shit. He won't make it.
I know. Well, I feel like I'm gonna have to do a fucking couple tableside guac shifts as like a penance. You know, when you go into confession and they're like, say 10 Hail Marys. You know, give your mom and dad a hug. They're gonna be like, all right, you're back. I don't have to train though, so that's cool.
Yeah, you'll take a couple guac shifts instead of training, if need be. You know, gosh. But that's cool. I'm a big fan. I do love me some Rosalitas. I'll have to now. I can come in and not feel so weird, not knowing the whole staff anymore.
You know, come on in. I'll give you the manager. No, I'm kidding. That's what led to me. My 4-year tenure previously ended because I, just gave some discounts out willy-nilly here and there with the manager's code, and that was
just all the information out there.
That was not advised by anybody. I went rogue.
I thought you signed an NDA not to talk about this.
No, dude, that's what happened. We have to live and we have to earn up and not earn up, but you know what I'm saying. We have to own up to our discretions and wrongdoings. And I'm back. Every time I try to get out of the service industry,
it just reels you back.
It does, man. It's like I feel like
it's money's to be made. You can make better money on less hours there than some places. So that's the world we live in. You got to go where the money's at, regardless of what it really is.
100%. I do think there is a stigmatism, and I know it's kind of a lot of people's first kind of jobs getting into the service industry and stuff, and there's definitely truth to that. A lot of college kids and stuff. But as I've came to find out, if you are good in the bartending service industry and you have, any semblance of charisma, personality, there's definitely money to be made there.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, that's kind of what I was missing that. I was missing the being able to go in and kind of get what you put into it.
Right. I mean, there's a big factor there. It's like you get a direct reward for the amount of work that you put into it, as opposed to, you could be given more work than somebody else in the other job in FedEx, and you would be still getting paid the same, if not less, than other people on their routes. And it's just good to not have to be driving all day, every day. There's always inherent risks with just being on the road. So being able to show up to a place that you work and you're at a place and the hazards are much lesser. Yeah, easy choice. Easy choice, I say. So hats off to you for, recognizing it wasn't working and going back and doing something that's comfortable. Shit.
So yeah, that's just a little life update for me.
The comings and comings of Xavi Bauer.
But I know you're the host, so go ahead. I don't know what kind of
I ain't hosting shit.
But I was gonna say, as far as life events, we kind of were doing the year review last year.
Yeah.
Last episode on what's to come this year, so we kind of stayed out.
Yeah, we had our last episode 2024.
But I think, out of big news happening, which is right around the corner, you were getting married here in 2 months?
Couple months out. Yep.
2 months away. So how are we feeling? Thoughts, feelings?
Yeah. Feeling good. We're just doing a small, quiet little thing. Weddings get out of hand quickly, man. I tell you, it's one of those things that's like, you want to have a good time, but as soon as you start putting the numbers together and what we could afford and who you could invite, just imagine this. It's like if I want to invite 15 people, including my closest family and my closest friends, and once you invite 15 people, you have to then extend them that +1 because most of them are married or in a serious relationship. So then those numbers are doubled automatically. So if my 15 people turn into 30 people, her 15 people turn into 30 people, you got a 60-person guest list before you even know it. So we're just doing our thing, keeping the numbers small. We're basically got everything planned and ready to go. I got a couple loose ends to tie up, some final stuff to put a bow on and things like that. But with us planning this weddings, I was thinking of just kind of wedding stats in general. And so the average cost last year of 2024 per person.
Can I guess?
Yeah, this is what I'm going to ask you to guess. Okay. Would you just let me get there?
Go ahead.
Fuck.
Can I get initials?
Yes. So the average cost in the USA that people spend per guest, what would you guess? The amount of money that on average was per guest for the USA weddings last year that people spent.
$133.
That is incorrect, sir. You are low.
Whoa, I was low there?
You are low.
I thought I was conservative. $214.
You are closer. You are still low.
Ooh, Jesus, man.
Yeah. Weddings are insane. The wedding industry is a money-making business.
$226.
Nope. On average, it's around $300 a person is what people spend on the average wedding. That's on average. So they're saying that last year, 2024, most weddings were estimated to be spent of between $14,000 and $49,000 for that event.
Okay, so I am kind of getting. So I was like literally thinking like, okay, so your wedding, you're doing the total wedding cost divided by amount of guests.
Yeah,
But
that's how
I
you
was guessing like how much each individual person costs, like themselves being there, like just I guess what their plate would be.
You got to include it all. You have to get tables and chairs for all those people. You have to include
Well, like decoration and photographer doesn't really play into how many guests you have. I guess
but it's just kind of you're putting the party together and your total number of people
Your DJ.
is included in that price. I mean, sure, yeah, those things are a set price regardless of number of guests, but that just means that the cost per guest is higher if you have a smaller guest. Depending on the things you do, your food will be cheaper, your drinks will be cheaper, your rentals will be
keep
cheaper.
It around per person.
Price? Oh, I don't even know per person, but I mean, gosh, we're trying to barely spend a few $1,000s. You know what I mean? Like we're poor. You know, I don't understand how anybody could spend more than 10 grand on a wedding and feel good about it. Like we're doing the best we can with what we can, and we're gonna have a good time, trust me, but the numbers of people have to be low. There's just no way. And Jamie's already been married once, so she's already had one wedding, and it's like, you know, nothing. She doesn't need to do anything to keep her happy, and I'm good with low numbers.
How many people are we looking at?
I don't know. What's gonna be somewhere in the 60 to 70 range at most, I think.
That's still a lot of people.
Yeah, but like I said,
Looking at those numbers, that's 21,000.
Yeah, they're talking about, well, if you do, $300
I'm just saying,
we're
like,
definitely
you took the
not.
average.
Right.
I know.
Yeah, trust me. That's what I'm saying. It gets, and they're saying the number of guests on an average wedding is between 100 and 150 people on an average guest list.
So you're looking at $30,000 on average for the total wedding cost.
Yeah, the average cost of a wedding with 50 to 100 guests was $28,300 in 2023. You like that action, boss?
I do. Those numbers don't really correlate to the. I feel like my first average is closer then.
I'm just reading.
Because if on average you have 100 guests to 150, somehow like to be lower than 30,000 doesn't really make sense. If you're saying $300 per person on average,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's still
I know what you're saying.
expensive. You got the point across.
I'm just reading the numbers that they gave me here.
They're conflicting numbers.
It's averages.
Yeah, but
so anyway, weddings.
Because 150 people would be. Go ahead. Oh, God bless you. Be 45. You'd be looking at 35 to 45, 30,000 to 45,000 if you took the average guest.
Just that $300 per guest average. You know.
Yeah.
It could be less depending on, right? That's why they're saying it could be less, just depending on your choices. It could be less, it could be more.
28 grand, you could get most new cars.
Not most new cars. I don't know when's the last time you looked at a new car. You can't get any car that's a truck or an SUV. Very few SUVs are under $30,000. 50% of sedans or more are over $30,000 to start, I bet. Kia Optima, I bet, is $27,000, $28,000 for a base model.
That's a pretty good car.
But you're talking a base model.
Okay.
Starting out at $28,000. No.
But I'm saying if you
car prices are crazy.
If you forego a wedding and you bought a brand new Kia Optima, even if it's base model, then all you would be having to pay is the personal property tax on that every year. You'd already have a car payment paid off. Like,
yeah, but that's the thing is a lot of people are don't have this money for the wedding. They put this money on credit. They put it on credit, and then they end up paying it off over years.
Buy May in a courthouse.
Big old debt systems.
No, I probably won't ever be married, but
hey, it's all right.
This isn't about me. This is about you and Jay's big day.
It's not even specifically about my day. It's mostly just about the big weddings, man. The big wedding industry.
Big weddings.
Fucking big wedding.
And when did this? I mean, I feel like weddings have been like a huge celebration for a while in society.
Oh yeah, they have. But the expectations for what should be involved with a wedding has increased over the years, right? So like you go to a wedding now and you're expected to have not even just entertainment with a DJ or a band, but there's going to be a photo booth or a backdrop wall for your different pictures or like people are doing the Polaroid cameras, there's all this little face painter, whatever, people just have all these little trinkets and expectations of weddings these days, it seems like. So it's like everybody wants to one up the next person. So somebody was like, oh, I went to a wedding a few years ago. They did X, Y, and Z. I got to do X, Y, and Z times 2 or whatever. It almost feels like. But along those lines, like, what are some things that you feel are the most important to focus on at a wedding, like your Mount Rushmore of wedding moments, if you will?
I do feel like this is kind of unfair. Cause
always have to have a Mount Rushmore.
I know I do like Mount Rushmores, but first of all, I want to make this clear. When I think of weddings, I'm not saying like, oh, if you don't have this at your wedding, I won't go, because I don't want to. My fear is taking stuff on Mount Rushmore and you being like, oh, like then you get in your head like we're not doing this at our wedding.
I don't give a shit what you think.
At me personally, as much as I love all these things, I'd love saving my money. Like if I got married,
it comes down to dollar and cents.
But do I go first?
Yeah. We'll back and forth it. So you go first. You get the 1. I'll get the 2. And then the 3, and then you get the 4.
Number one, at any wedding, you got to go open bar.
Ooh, that's a big one. That's a big one. That's a good point.
Think about going to a wedding.
Yeah, if you go to a wedding and it's a cash bar, you're pissed. I'm pissed.
You could drink literally $100 worth of booze that night. It's almost like what I associate weddings with most. Like we're getting fucked up, and I'm not going to spoil anything else.
Yeah, but that's a good one. That's a great one. You got to have that. That's a large one.
Well, you guys have that.
Don't ask specifics about the wedding. We're going to have booze, yes. Don't ask each one. We're going to go through these points. You're going to say, we're not here to list out the things that we're doing at mine, because I don't need anybody to have the worst day of their job.
But that's my number 1.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think for me, number 2, gosh, I'm conflicted. I have 2 and 3, so I have to decide which one should be my first and which should be my second. But okay, I'll just say food, good food is first, and then DJ/band is my second Mount Rushmore choice. You have to have a good entertainment for the evening, whether it just be a DJ that's going to play stuff that keeps people interested, or a band that plays stuff that keeps people interested. I think those things are equally as important. It's hard for me to decide 1 and 2 is like a 1A, 1B. Really kind of behind the booze one. I do like the booze, the open bar. That's a good one.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Do I have to have a separate Mount Rushmore, or could we have some overlapping choices? Because I don't know if I could.
No, we have to have a separate.
We have to have separate. Okay. Well, you're back to you.
Well, last week I would have taken Diddy. I would have taken all kinds of jazz.
All over each other.
I was going to go music there, because that's what I was going to say without spoiling picks, like booze and dancing. A lot of people too, like I know there's people who can go cut a rug sober as, the an infant. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people need
sidebar here. Nah, that's all right. I'll save it for that. I was just going to say, when's how often do you think people just live life stone cold sober? Like no caffeine, no nicotine, no sugar.
What's the word for that, too? Straight edge?
Yeah, but that could be... It depends. Straight edge, to me, is like people that don't dabble in illicit things like booze or drugs or anything like that, or nicotine. But like, some people could be just as addicted to the caffeine and the sugar.
Well, I think if you're likely to get addicted to caffeine, you're likely to get addicted to drugs. I think it's a personality trait. It's an addictive personality trait that comes like kind of coupled with. But that's not to get too sidetracked.
No,
here.
yeah, that's why I was trying to say.
But I was just going to say, I think a lot of people, you put dancing and drinking at a wedding, because a lot of people kind of need that liquid courage. You go out there, be loose.
Yeah.
You always need that one or two people to just get out there while they're are kind of sober, and there always is. There's always 2 or 3 people out there that will just go let loose, and they do it for the love of the game.
Somebody's got to be the.
But you said food and
music and entertainment. Those are my 1 and 2 choices, and then you said,
my number 2 pick will be. I'm going to go with the date of it, because you can pick a wedding date that is inconvenient for a lot of your guests, and I'm talking big sporting event, and that.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
So I'm going date, because also I think that the date can take what could be a lull, like, oh, this would have been, we're just trying to get it through to spring, better weather, this and that, or, the heat of the summer and this and that, people working hard. Maybe this is a day we can get inside and celebrate.
Yeah.
You're picking a day of the wedding. You don't want to pick a day that's going to be like, God, like everybody's looking at their phones watching, say if you're in Buffalo, you probably don't want to schedule a Sunday football game Sunday in wedding date in January.
Right. What do you think about somebody that picks like a beautiful Saturday in September? So let's just say there's no important college football games that day, but the day is just like an absolutely gorgeous day. Do you feel like it's selfish?
No.
They just got lucky.
You can do an outdoor wedding.
Yep.
I think it adds to it.
You're not looking at your phone like, dang, I just really want to be able to enjoy this nice day, and I have to go do all this stuff for this wedding. I'm just asking the questions. I don't necessarily
I do think
believe.
Day and date. And with that, I will go. Your guest, the guest list is crucial, and I'm not talking about size of it. I'm talking about you want to make sure the people you have there, like you just read the numbers of how much these people cost.
Yeah.
Maybe it's better to have a smaller wedding, because you want this to have a group of people there that want your day to be good and that can have a good time. You want that dance floor full. I mean, there's no.
You don't need a bunch of Scrooges at your wedding.
Yeah, you want it to just be fun. People letting go of their inhibitions for the day, celebrating you, celebrating love.
Spend money on people that'll just show up and find something to complain about. Like, that's not good. You don't want to.
Yeah.
So curation of the guest list is
the guests
definitely
that
important.
are there can definitely make or break a wedding.
For sure.
You can put in all this planning, and then you just have a bunch of people there sitting there like some sourpusses.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good one. So you got your 1, 2, and 3.
Now you get your 3 and 4 here.
So 3 and 4 here. No, yeah, I guess so, because my first 2 were the band and the food, or the DJ and the food. So I think my third one is going to probably be the ceremony, right? So the ceremony can be kind of a underlooked aspect of the wedding, and I think that too many people overlook it and just kind of end up doing something that's boring and unmemorable, maybe for the ceremony, or just too, what's the word I guess I'm looking for? Sometimes it could just feel too forced, like if you're not going to have a denominational wedding ceremony, like you're not doing a religious wedding ceremony or anything of that nature, it doesn't need to be any longer than 20 minutes. Once you start making some people sit or stand or whatever for 25, 30 minutes while you read a bunch of gushing words back and forth, it's like, let's get this show on the road. So that's my third one, is focusing on the ceremony. Like you gotta have a good ceremony that keeps people engaged, and, gets them laughing, gets them crying, just like a good movie. But you got to keep it quick. That's important about ceremonies. And I think the fourth, Mount Rushmore numbers, one of the last most important thing to think about with the weddings, will have to be the last dance. What's going to be the song?
The last dance.
Yeah, what's going to be the song that you close out the night with? It's going to be something that people get a chance to take with them and remember the evening by. I think that that's another detail that kind of slips through the cracks.
From my experiences, last dances, a lot of times are like, the party's dying out. People have already been saying their goodbyes. The dance floor numbers have dwindled. Mm-hmm. Now, to your point, you could, there have been some really memorable ones. I remember at my cousin Jonathan's wedding, they did a last dance song, and it was really cool. Everybody got in the circle, kind of huddled up, and that was very memorable. But there's a lot of weddings I go to where the first song is kind of more eyes on, but that could be to your point, that could be a separate. Obviously, that's been a lasting memory of mine.
Mm-hmm. I think that it's, for me personally, I like to focus on that last one a little bit more. It becomes a selfish thing if you're somebody planning a wedding, but I think that that's a good chance for the bride and groom to, almost, it's like a chance to reflect on the whole day at the very end. Just kind of a summation of all the parts.
How gone are you going to be?
Probably not too bad. Man, I hate a hangover these days.
That's your wedding.
So what? That doesn't mean I want to feel so much like shit the next day. I usually keep it pretty reserved.
Are you working the next day?
No. Gosh, no.
Well,
we'll see what happens. I'm not against the thing, but I'm not a shot taker. I don't stand around and shoot my liquor or nothing. So I'll have my drinks and have my smokes, and we'll see what happens. Good times will be had.
My last pick will be. We've taken a lot of the heavy hitters.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of my personal experiences and memories. It just varies wedding to wedding,
Yeah.
So I'll just
something that comes to the top of your mind when you're thinking about weddings and what's
there's
important.
Two of them that we haven't named right now that have came to my mind. That's what I'm deciding between.
Okay.
But I will go with this. And then I'll tell you my honorable mention.
All right, yeah.
Okay, so but this is only specific to the party.
Can I? Ooh.
The wedding party.
I'd almost like to redact and correct my last pick.
Honorable mention. Because I'd like to redact my Bitcoin pick, but it's already it's gone.
We're still in this.
No, you can do an honorable mention, but it will not be counted as your.
I want to replace.
Well,
go ahead and do yours, so I don't take it by doing it.
No, we're not replacing. Is yours wedding party centric?
Not necessarily.
Well, so mine is a lot of okay. Now this is why I think it could be a bad pick because it's only the wedding party itself, and not. But I remember the weddings I've been to the pregame, the before the wedding, when you're getting ready with all the groomsmen or the brides with their bridesmaids, maid of honor, what have you. That can be very memorable, very fun. Mm-hmm. I remember, Matt's wedding in particular. It was the first weekend of college football.
Oh, yeah.
So we had a bunch of 30 packs in there and
racks on racks.
Just in there, boys being boys before the wedding, just being loose, having fun. Photographer comes in there and gets pictures of everybody setting up.
Mm-hmm. A little snippety snap.
Yeah. So my honorable,
no, go ahead. It's not. You're not
my
taking anything from me.
Honorable mention would be party buses because I think it's the only time where after you're 21 or 22 that party buses are acceptable and fun. They are a blast. You go around. That's another thing kind of centric to the wedding party once again.
Yeah.
But just going around and you get pictures of different areas or different scenic locations.
Mm-hmm.
And you're having a fun time blasting music and kind of pre-gaming before the
riding around. Yeah.
So I'll say good party buses.
Yeah, those are usually some of them. Yeah,
Have you been on a wedding party bus?
Yeah, a couple different times.
They're fun.
They are. It is a good time, and that makes a wedding definitely a bit more memorable. It wouldn't fall into like the top things that I think I would focus on for my, for what I would be doing. But I think I'm going to redact my last one. Number 4 is getting replaced.
This is not redacted, guys. This is an honorable mention.
So number 4 is getting replaced. I'm going to move that one down. The ending song is still good, but it doesn't need to be on top 4. I think the venue is got to be in the top 4 of considerations. A good venue can make or break the party.
No.
Yeah, it sets the vibe. If you walk into a place and
People
it
make
feels
the vibe.
good, the people do too. But just as much, it's got to be in a good locale. Somewhere that people can spread out a little bit. It's just got good vibes. It can. I've DJ'd a couple weddings that were in like American Legion halls or like a gymnasium and
VFWs.
VFW halls. These weddings just feel stale and boring. Like when you got
The people though at VFWs are American
they're there
Legions.
to party. There's no doubt about it. But the vibes are just not right. The vibes are not right. So the venue is a big factor, I think, when you're talking Mount Rushmore of wedding things. For me, so I'm gonna stick to my guns and call that my number 4.
That is not his number 4, guys.
So
it is an honorable mention. Bob's picks were as we wrap up.
The number 1,
The
it was
Last
food.
Dance.
It was food, and then it was the band and the DJ, and then it was the
Last
ceremony,
Dance.
and then it was the venue / last dance is
Whoa.
the honorable mention.
Well, as Bob has cheated on this, I will take
Oh
this
my
victory.
gosh.
It was much needed after last week where I made a pick that I kept and stuck with after I regretted it.
Well, it's okay.
But that is integrity.
That's the whole fun of making lists.
Maybe
on
that'll
the
be my
spot.
4th pick. Integrity. Have integrity at your wedding. You don't be getting cold feet. Don't be second guessing things. Don't be saying, "Is this what I want to do with?" No, have integrity. Say, "I asked this person to marry me for a reason. We're here with the best people in the world that we want to be with and we want to celebrate with, and that's going to be a fun ass time." And overall for weddings, what we can say is that if you're going to go spend a bunch of money on your wedding, make it memorable.
Yeah.
Don't be stressing about how much money you've spent. Don't be wondering if the guests are having a fun time, because if you're wondering that and you're stressing out about that, you're going to put bad energy in the air.
Yeah, that's for sure. Once it's go time, it's go time. Just forget all the details and let everybody decide if they're going to have fun.
I remember my cousin Liz's wedding.
Good times.
Well, it was, so on the opposite end of they did get married on a Cardinals playoff game, but that was good because we got eliminated that night.
Yeah.
And what is a better way to forget about that than saying, "Oh, we have open bar here." Like that, dude. That was fun. We just turned it up after that. I worked at Ballpark Village at the time. I called. Won't be coming in tomorrow.
No point in being there.
And
Peace
just,
out.
had the time of my life.
I had the time of my favorite wedding song. Go.
Well, are we going dance or
Just your one you expect to hear at every wedding that's your favorite.
that's my favorite?
Yes.
No,
Go.
I don't. Hold on. First, we're not rapid firing this
3,
because
2, 1.
if
answer.
I expect
Yes,
to
give
hear
it
a
me.
wedding song, I do not want to hear.
What?
I don't like the cliche.
The chicken dance or
Now
whatever?
I'm probably shitting
I'm not
on
asking
everybody
you
listening.
which one
who's
you
had
don't
this
want to hear.
dance.
I want to know what's one you want to hear.
Oh my gosh. Well, Cha-Cha Slide is expected.
But what do you want to hear it?
I'm trying to think if I do.
I'm trying to think if I do.
It's essential.
Is it essential?
And the Cha-Cha Slide gets the people going, dude. I feel like it covers races
Cha-cha,
and
real
genders
smooth.
and ages. Like, that's why I think
Do you
about
like
the
Cha-Cha Slide or Electric Slide more?
Cha-Cha
Copperhead Road.
Cha-Cha Slide, Copperhead Road.
Copperhead Road.
Now, that has some of the old country folks turning up. And I have learned the Copperhead Road dance at some of my nights at PBR.
Yeah. People know it.
Yeah, but... okay, yeah.
The Graham on the Electric Slide.
Yeah,
you
Grandma got him shook up. Oh, no. Yeah. Grandma.
Shouts out to the old Kanye.
But yeah, by Usher, that's always. I'm trying to think of song.
I just want to know your favorite, number one favorite.
My favorite.
One choice. You got pick one song that you want to hear at a wedding when you're there and you're dancing, whatever. Yeah, you want to feel that good energy in the room. Just what do you want to hear?
What's yours?
I have two. Mine is either Shout or
Shout is a great one.
I also do. Gosh, what am I thinking? Love Shack. Got it. It's like such a cliche, but I love hearing Love Shack at a wedding. 15 miles to Love Shack.
There's a little old place where we can get together. Whoa.
Yeah.
Another good one
Those are great
would be
ones.
like celebrate good times. Come on. You get it right. I'm trying to think like
celebration.
even when you have the young people out there dancing, then some of the old heads, like I'm trying to think of songs like that stretch generations, you know.
There's a song that came out within the last I'm pretty sure it was within 10 years, but I'll say 15 to know for sure. It's been within the last 15 years this song came out, and it's a staple. You could play this song at any
Uptown Funk.
That's it. 100%. Like you just said, the youngins will dance, the oldins will dance. Everybody's into it. And
same thing with Yeah by Usher.
Yeah, and it's got good feels to it. You know, that Uptown Funk's got the horns in it. You know,
but I'm thinking of something that you could play at a multi-cultured like wedding too, like which I think Uptown Funk probably could.
Dude, it covers
and same
so much.
Same with the Cha-Cha Slide.
Yeah.
Now, first dance songs though, dude.
There's so many of those that I'm like,
what about Faithfully?
Yeah, it's fine, but that was being used as a first dance song in 1985. I was
exactly.
He said exactly. It's
one
tried
of the best
true.
Godfather is one of the best movies of all time. It came out in 1971.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you have to have it at every film festival. So I don't need every first dance song to be Faithfully.
I will be requesting that to be your first dance song.
It won't be, because that was my dad played that for my mom at their wedding, and they've been divorced for a lot of years, so they would both not want to hear that song.
They say that the road ain't no place to start a family.
All right, sing it, Steve.
Yeah. Right down the
So
line,
you got that one.
you
And then
me.
the other one that I'm tired of hearing as a first dance song, I'm tired of hearing people use, I don't want to close my eyes. I don't want to
Bob
fall
hates
asleep
Aerosmith.
because I just think they're
You hate
overrated. They're overrated.
So this isn't hyperbole by me for a change.
I don't hate Aerosmith. I think they're overrated. There's a difference between those two things. I think they're cousins. Yeah, overrated and hated are cousins.
For you
to
to
each other.
view something as overrated, there's a little hate. There's a disdain in your heart for that band.
No.
You don't. What's something
It's
you
not
say
for
that
the
you
band.
like?
It's for the fans of the band that hold Aerosmith in such high regard.
Well, what's something that you like but you also think is overrated? Then
Boo, 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 boo.
good question.
Something that I like that others think is overrated. Probably. Oh, I don't know.
I'll tell you this. One song that could be played at a wedding that I don't hear enough. Can we go that category?
Okay, we're going down it.
That's going to be and all the girlies say I'm pretty fly for a white guy. Dude, that'd be
you
fun.
think that's like should be a more popular wedding song?
Dude, that's a turn up, dude. I'm thinking of songs that get you in the good vibes, good feels. And that song does it.
I don't think it's going to get grandma dancing, though.
Tire roll, tire roll, tire roll.
And I don't think that the 8-year-old nieces and nephews would be into it so much either, you know?
Dude,
You
if
gotta
you're
keep them
listening, tell me
separated.
if you come on now. That is a turn up.
It's a good song, but I wouldn't think of it as needing to be on like a wedding playlist, dude. That's all I'm saying.
And speaking of good songs, these transitions will get us to the big time one day. There is the first 2025 slapper of the year.
It could be the hit of the year at this point.
Now, before I say who
starting
it's
off
by,
strong.
I want you guys all to sit there and think to yourselves, so I know who he's talking about. If you don't, get with the times. I'm talking to you, Dad.
Yeah, come on. Don't you know the number one hit, I guess, is right now? Hell, I don't know.
Leading into this, I will say there is 3 brothers that have been hyped up by their own father for, what, like 10 years now?
Yeah, we've probably been hearing about him for that long.
And that is the Ball brothers.
Ball brothers.
Lonzo, LiAngelo, LaMelo,
and Raphael. No, that's the other guy.
And their dad, LeVar, has been, it's almost like the Kardashians of guys.
It's all about brands. You got to build your brand.
Big baller brand.
Big baller brand.
Started his own shoe. Now, the middle son is the only one who failed to make it and have a successful career in the NBA to this point.
Failure.
To this point. Now, last week, my roommate Corey was kind of telling me, like, look at LiAngelo Ball's dropping a song tomorrow on World Star.
Put them on.
Hip Hop, which, for those of you who don't know, World Star was an extremely successful media company that famously showed a lot of fights and like rap songs.
World Star.
This was back when we were in middle school,
Internet
grade
just
school,
starting
right?
off. Yeah.
And now since then, World Star's kind of fell off. It still is infamous for any time people see a fight publicly, they yell.
Yeah, the yelling of the World Star.
Exactly. But so LiAngelo Ball, he hypes the song up, and like the night before it came out, Corey comes to me and he's like, "Look, there's like 300,000 people waiting for this song," and like kind of we were laughing, like it's LiAngelo Ball, you know, like.
This
and then to my surprise, dude, the song drops, and I was like, "All right, like I
pleasantly surprised."
I did, but then the Chicago Bulls, which LiAngelo's brother is on, they were all playing it in their locker room, and it wasn't, sarcastically. Like, you could tell there was a vibe. Then the Detroit Lions beat the Minnesota Vikings to win the NFC North, and what are they playing in their locker room?
They're playing the Tweaker. That's the song.
And so I just played it. Well, we just played it.
I just got hip. I was just showed the song.
Well, it's not old. It's only,
Yeah, it's a new song. It's a new song. So I was just showing the song. We listened to it a little bit before the show. That's about as far as our prep went. Me listening to a new song.
So I wanted to hear Bob's thoughts on it here live on air.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I was also surprised. It kind of gave me reminiscent vibes of that, what do I want to call it? Not the golden era of pop hip hop, but like, the the early 2000s of hip hop. It kind of really reminded me of some Nelly songs off of his Country Grammar record. So like that was a surprising thing to hear when I heard the song. So I can dig it. I've been kind of feeling like we were going to see the pendulum swing back in the direction of songs that felt that way for a little bit now. There's kind of been a lot of the same kind of drill and trap sounds for the last few years, and I think that people are tired of feeling down all the time, and so they wanted to bring back the energy of music that was like, club music almost, right?
No, I completely agree. When I heard this, and like your statements mirrored what the comments are saying, and obviously you didn't read the comments. A lot of the comments are like, LiAngelo just dropped the best song of 2025 and 2005, and I think that was said in a positive way. I think, like you said, people were longing for and you were kind of on it a couple years ago, trying to bring back the sound with a lot of beats you were making and stuff. Because
I think that people just missed those nice melodies in songs. There's so much that's just lacking that
very
melodic content. That stuff that draws people into music. The musical aspect of it more than just the words.
100%. I'm hyped for it. And like you said, which was a great point that I had thought, it's very Nelly-ish, and like, gosh.
Yeah, it stuck out to me right away.
If that brand of music can start making a comeback, dude, Rosalita's won't be the only thing I'm running back to, dude. I'll be in that booth next. Whizzing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's kind of cool. So definitely, like Bob said it best, it's a pleasant surprise to hear LiAngelo Ball.
I didn't know nothing about it, but I'm glad I'm glad that it seems like people are into it, because it shows that people can still respect that style of music.
Because if you look at the Detroit Lions or the Chicago Bulls, two things I mentioned, they're probably on average not an age that grew up with that style of music. Would you say? Maybe they had older brothers and stuff.
Overall, no,
sisters.
Most of them had been, between 5 and 7 to 10 years old. If they're in their 20 to 25 range now, or older, and I don't know the roster.
That was 20 years ago. They've probably been like between 0 and 5.
Well, I don't know the average roster age for those teams,
Bulls
but if I'm just
younger.
saying between 20 and 30 years old, that means 20 years ago they'd have been, whatever, 5 to 10 years old at the most.
But very cool.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that. While we're talking teams, and we're gonna get into the NFL playoffs, but maybe we'll touch on college football playoffs first. What did you think of the games over the new year? We had a lot of games.
Well, as an SEC elitist,
Yeah.
a little disappointed by the conference showings.
Yeah. Now, what do you think that? What do you think of the buys? Like everybody that had a buy ended up losing their game. So,
Well, yeah, I think that's to correlate that into the NFL. I know still a lot of people in the NFL who had positions locked that can go up or down, rested their players. But I was thinking, like,
I think to me,
when do the NFL teams start to notice this effect that it's had on the college games, and would that make a difference? Which it didn't.
Yeah, I think that it's the pros you see a little bit different, where the buys don't affect the pro teams as much as they affect college teams, in my opinion. It seems like a buy for a college team that's kind of working on momentum and stuff isn't as effective as it is for professional teams, where these guys, some of them do this job for years and years and years and know how to keep sharp while having time off. They've learned that, and they have more experience on those teams, veteran leadership and things like that.
Maybe on average, like, there's still some NFL guys that get rowdy and stuff, but I feel like on average, to your point, college football might, at that age, you don't have as much self-control. You get a couple weeks off. You might start changing your routine. You get a little less focused. Like NFL players still, some of them have that. But maybe also the ones who don't have that hyper focus have that raw talent that got them in the NFL that can overcome that, 2-week sabbatical.
Yeah.
But
so I think, let's see, of those...
not as entertaining, but there was one game that really stood out.
Of the college?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Texas, Arizona State. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was... Thank God we had that game. Was a competitive game, actually. Most of the other games ended up not really being very competitive at all. Did you... So just kind of focusing in on that Texas-Arizona State game for a second here. Did you watch it live? Did you watch it?
So I had started kind of getting sick that day because I was supposed to come out here, but I ended up watching that whole game in bed, and it was entertaining as hell. It's one of the more entertaining college football games I've ever watched. I don't think that's hyperbole. What I can remember, what sticks out is going into Texas missed that field goal. Arizona gets it back, doesn't score. Texas misses another field goal.
Yeah.
Arizona State.
So that second field goal that Texas missed, it was right before the end of regulation, and the last play that Texas did was their quarterback snapped it and moved over in between the hash marks, and then went down. And then did you notice that their kicker missed? He doinked it off the left upright. So
solid doink.
I mean, obviously this is easy.
Long-haired kid. I can't remember his name.
Oh gosh,
Auburn.
Purdue.
Oh, something Auburn.
Something Auburn. That's
because
it.
I remember it was kind of confusing because it was like, obviously Auburn's not playing, but they kept mentioning Auburn as kicker.
Mm-hmm. So easy to say as like an outcome biased, but like maybe if they don't move that ball over, they could have just kicked that field goal and made it and won the game. But
maybe so. But now let's go into in between those missed field goals. There was an Arizona State possession that ended, live, and even after the replay, it looked like targeting to me.
Yeah.
The guy led with his head, the crown of his helmet, hit the Arizona State receiver's helmet, which that was at the ball would have been across the 50-yard line.
Yeah,
correct?
they'd have been close to. Close to.
Woo! Bless you. Woo! Yeah.
Field goal range. Sneezing is pleasing. They'd have been close to field goal range, but Arizona State, I think, was known for not having much of a kicking game. So they still had some work to do, but that non-targeting call.
What are your thoughts on it?
Oh, I tell you. I remember talking about it in the moment. I told Jamie, I said, if that call, I'd have been angry depending either way that it was called, depending on which team I was. If I was a Texas fan and they called it targeting, I'd have been mad. If I was an Arizona State fan and they didn't call targeting, I'd have been mad. Like I could see an argument both ways. You don't want a play like that to necessarily like change the outcome of a game. but
You've seen less
yeah,
hits be called for targeting.
I agree.
Now, yeah, granted,
I'd agree.
I do
I'd have to
agree
look
with
at it again. The play. It's been a handful of days now since the game and since I saw the play
Well, I'll
live.
tell you, because I can remember it. The guy was going across the middle.
I remember he got rocked.
Lowers his head. And again, I've been the same guy who says football's getting soft. Bring back the old football. But that being said, if we're going to call it, we have to call it. And I don't want to hear this bullshit of, well, when the game was on the line, you're going to let things go.
No, I get it. That's where it becomes sticky. Is it is a subjective call to the the officiating crew.
Going into the game, I wanted Texas to win so we could at least have some SEC representation.
Yeah,
but
I
I
kinda
found
agree.
myself.
I agree. I was in that same boat. I was
My
in the
brain
same boat.
switched, and then I was
I
rooting
was
for
like, come
Arizona
on,
State.
AS. Yeah, I
So
pretty
then you
much
get
was
to
the same.
overtime. And that overtime, which turned into what, 4 or 3?
No. They didn't end up having to go to a 2-point. They didn't end up having to do that.
But anyways, it was
the
Arizona
second
State
overtime.
had it locked up in overtime. They had scored.
It was 4th and 13, dude.
Texas had a 4th and 13,
Yeah.
and they let the receiver. It must have
Wide
been a breakdown
open.
in coverage,
Wide open.
a misunderstanding. Wide open touchdown on 4th and 13.
Carlos Whedon and that
Texas
shit.
scores, ties it. Then their very next play, because they now how college football works. Texas went last there, so then they got the ball first, scored on the next play,
Yep.
then got the 2-point conversion. Arizona State went from 4th and 13 for advance to the semifinals to looking down the barrel of an 8-point deficit.
Yeah,
and just like that.
Yeah, it's almost like the David Freese triple on the last strike.
Like, oh my goodness. But
That was a good game. I'm glad it was entertaining at least.
and then how about the next game that probably stuck out the most was, and it was just because of the statement, a lot of people had Oregon as the favorites going into this week, and Ohio State just dog walked them.
I tell you, I didn't stick around for a whole lot of that game because
my
it was
goodness.
not entertainment. Ohio State's looking pretty dominant right now.
And this true freshman, Jeremiah Smith, my God, if he and this will lead, we'll kind of, I guess we'll branch this into the NFL talk.
Yeah, we'll get to
I think
the
that
league.
seeing this Jeremiah Smith for Ohio State, he averaged like 38 yards a catch as a true freshman, and against Oregon had like 150 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
I think
Crazy numbers.
I know that they have this NIL and stuff, so people can get paid, but there's scouts saying if Jeremiah Smith was eligible for the draft this year, he'd be the first overall pick.
yeah.
Now, why can't you? You're 19. You could serve in the military, but you can't go play at the NFL. Jeremiah Smith's not at Ohio State School for studies.
Yeah,
He's
nobody goes. All these college athletes are just that college athletes, not college student athletes.
What are your thoughts on
anymore.
that?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure that those rules were put into place at a time when colleges just were trying to make it still seem like they only wanted players to be student athletes and they didn't want them to just jump to the pros. And there's something about maturity development and that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know. You got me. I think that they should be able to do what they want. If a team wants him and he wants to go, then I don't see why there should be any rules or any body that can say otherwise. Who's going to enforce the rules that he can't? Like,
There's also a true freshman, Ryan Williams for Bama.
who says that he can't be drafted?
He can't. You have to be 3. You have to have 3 years of college football.
But who has that rule?
The NCAA.
Why does it matter to the NCAA?
That's what I'm asking. But I think they could solve a lot of the transfer portal programs.
He couldn't just declare for the NFL draft and teams couldn't just pick him?
No.
How does the NCAA have any say over what the NFL does?
I'm telling you, that's just a rule. Maybe it's the NFL's rule, but I thought it was college football.
It doesn't make sense if it would be college football's rules because he
but it's
wouldn't be
a rule.
under the guide of college football once he declares for the
You have
draft.
to have 3 years of college, so you either have to be a redshirt sophomore or a true junior. And
What happens if you don't play college football at all? You go play some minor league football and then teams recognize you're good and you want to get drafted.
and here I thought we did a lot of prep. I don't have the answers for that right now. but
Hey,
I
look,
can
I'm
tell
just
you that's
asking the
rule.
questions.
Like Jeremiah Smith for OSU would be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft this year and still has to play 2 more seasons.
All right. Well, next episode, I'm going to do some research, figure out why guys can't be drafted at any age they want.
Because I was listening to something that made
It has to be an NFL rule.
Adrian Peterson had a phenomenal freshman year at Oklahoma, and people were saying the same thing. He'd be a top 5 pick now. Granted, he ended up going on and still having a great career.
Yeah.
But you think about there's guys like Marcus Lattimore at South Carolina was phenomenal,
dude.
and then just absolutely knee obliterated.
I was a big fan of his. He was a beast of a player.
Yeah, so it's just like moments like that you wish that these guys could go get there. Now, yes, you can get your NIL now, but this transfer portal is just absolute madness, and maybe they can minimize some of that madness by saying, hey, you can come to our school, and if you're good enough to go play in the NFL after year one, you can do that. Or you stay here and continue to get paid for what your value is.
Yeah, and that's kind of how it's been. But, that's kind of how it's been. And I think that they should have that. If a team wants to draft you at whatever age you are and is willing to draft you and pay you, absolutely, that should be available. I feel like it has to be an NFL guideline on saying, no taking these players at an early age and stuff. So we're talking college playoffs. Did you watch any of the Notre Dame and Georgia game?
No, because it was a weird time. I was working.
3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, I was working. I missed.
That was considering the pretty fucked up events in New Orleans, right? That guy, somebody driving a truck,
absolutely
in the middle
crazy,
of a crowd of people. I really just hope that we don't have a year filled of those kind of headlines, but it started off with a couple pretty wild ones. That one and the dude parking the Cybertruck with a bunch of explosives at the Trump hotel or something. Wild times in that regard. So anyway, the Notre Dame Georgia game. You said you didn't get a chance to watch it?
No, and it seemed like that was kind of a beatdown too.
It was, but I was watching it, and I think for anybody that was actually like tuned in and watching the game, the whole story of Parker Jones. Are you familiar?
Yeah, he went out. Yeah, obviously that name's kind of. He looks like the prototypical frat guy, and
he's a walk-on there at the for the Georgia football team.
They had no ramifications on the game.
See, you say that, but you weren't watching the game. I was watching the game.
I know the score.
But I'm talking about momentum here. That was a large momentum shift in the game because that was a spot where Georgia was only, trailing by not a lot, barely at that point.
They still got a field goal that drive, correct?
Yes, but they were. I think they got a field goal. I'm not even 100% on sure. Either way, it was a huge momentum killer. Obviously, there was a whole lot of game left.
Explain the play. So, a guy is running free downfield after being open on a pass play. This is probably like a 60-yard play. They get down within the tight red zone, and during the play, while the guy's running downfield, this Parker Jones, this walk-on for Georgia, just not even dressed in uniform. He's just got his sweats on with his nice little jersey on over it. Decides that he needs to get hyped up and go out towards the field. So he's standing on the white line next to the field, which is the umpire's zone, the referees. And the referee running down the sideline smashes into this guy. And so that's a 15-yard penalty for the bench and just an absolute momentum killer. Because it was 15 yards from where the play started, not even 15 yards from the end of the play. So it reversed like a big pass play for Georgia, and it really felt like it took a lot of air out of the team at that point in time, and it was hard for them to fight back. Obviously, that's just one thing to point at for a team that played bad most of the day. I just want to say, how insane is it if that's your position on the team to get to do anything to make a penalty be called on you? Like, how shitty do you feel if that was you? I kind of love it.
What do you mean you love it?
Fuck that kid.
Well, sure, but I'm saying, like, could you imagine being in that position?
No. I'm just saying,
just know your place, man. Know to stay out of the action.
Can you imagine even in high school? Imagine if just at high school level, Welby would have done that.
No, you'd have been kicked off the sideline instantaneously.
If you're like I won't say any names, but
if you're
somebody who I might have got.
I guess I ain't playing today, coach.
Terrible, dude. I feel bad.
No, that's just and then that got me to thinking of like, what's something comparable in other sports? That'd be like a team manager in basketball getting a bench technical for yelling at the ref or something.
Comparable.
Huh?
I mean, maybe only in college where they have these walk-ons that are still, I guess, on the sidelines.
Or like a practice squad player in the NFL.
Like a grad assistant.
Yeah. Or like, but you heard the first one that I said it would be like a basketball manager getting a bench tech or something.
Well, not only that, because a bench tech doesn't.
They get free throws, so
like 60. But yeah, you get one free throw and then you lose possession. But that like you could argue 60 yards in football is harder to get than making up 3 points in basketball.
Yeah, and it's really just the momentum killer.
We'll let
like
kids play football again for Georgia.
God, no way. I almost wonder if he didn't even go to school there next semester. This man's like, I gotta transfer. I can't be here,
dude. They showed his face enough.
Yeah, people were giving ESPN shit about that, and I don't necessarily agree with them. I think that it's fine showing that kid. He did what he did. He's got to live with it.
Yeah.
They're not trying to blame the whole game and the whole loss on the kid, but they're just talking about it.
Would you have said the same thing if he went out and did something spectacular and memorable and they kept showing him? No. If you're going to get shown for bad reasons or good reasons, you got to live with it. We all have actions. We all have choices.
That dude clearly wanted to insert himself in the game, and so he did, and ESPN helped him.
I think it's hilarious, though.
It's definitely memorable.
And shout out to Notre Dame, man. It's a team that I used to have a lot of disdain for in my heart. But I think Marcus Freeman is
it's hard not to like him.
Yeah, he's got me kind of rooting for them.
Notre Dame fans are neither here nor there, but I am a fan of Marcus Freeman. He seems like a good dude.
Yeah.
And I want to wish nothing but the best to him.
And how crazy is it now? How will this loss go down? The NIU loss that we watched together, the Notre Dame, if they go on to win a natty, losing to a below average,
just a
Division
garbage
II team.
Yeah. And then being undefeated since then. And then could go on defeated all the way to a championship. That'd be a hell of a story.
Northern Iowa, that might be where Parker Jones is playing next year.
Parker Jones ain't playing nowhere. He'll be a walk-on
anyway. He'll be selling insurance.
That's true. Or, working for his dad's law firm. One of the two. Parker Jones.
You don't recover from that.
Yeah. I was trying to think of other stories that are kind of similar. Or something that would be comparable. I think Joey Vitale was on talking about a similar occurrence, and hockey players are known on the bench that you got to keep your stick with the blade of the stick down, right? And he said there was a time when a guy had the blade up and somebody coming by the bench ran into the stick blade, and that's a bench penalty then too in hockey if somebody runs into the stick from the bench.
But even then, if you're on the bench in hockey, like
you're
at
a
least
player,
you're contributing.
100%.
It would be like the coach's, not even coach's son, because with coach's son, it's just going to be the coach's son.
Yeah,
it's like, that Kirby Smart probably wanted to rip Parker Jones' head off and throw it that 60 yards that he just lost.
He should have just went over to him and said, "Take the jersey off. Go ahead, leave,
and
walk.
You're expelled. You're not transferring. You're expelled. You don't quit. I fired you.
You don't quit. I fire you." I like that.
Yeah, so
that's what they should have done. That was. I've never seen something like that though. I don't think where somebody's so uninvolved in the game had an impact on the game. Like I think that's what stands out to me the most was the fact that the person was not involved in the game at all, but had an actual impact on the game. Right.
I know. I wish I would have watched it.
It made me think of, what it made me think of right away?
What's that?
The Cubs.
Oh,
Bartman.
Steve Bartman.
Yeah, that's what I thought of right away.
But the Cubs, dude, what makes me mad about the fucking Cubs is they blame Steve Bartman like they didn't just give away the rest of that game. And then you're talking about the 2003 NLCS,
it's the same thing like
Marlins, Cubs.
It's the same thing.
Throwing a fucking bitch fit, dude.
Momentum swings. That's the same thing. But no, that's what I thought of right away.
Somebody that
was so uninvolved in the game that ended up making a big impact on the game. Do
you think Steve Bartman's still a fan of the Cubs?
Gosh,
he spent enough money to be there, and I felt bad for Bartman because. He was obviously a very involved fan because you see a dedicated fan when they're at the
listening to the game
and they're
with
listening to the radio headset.
They need that play-by-play a lot,
which is funny because you're going to be listening on a delay.
Yeah, at least a little bit.
Can you imagine? And his ears are like, "Oh, and there's a dumbass fan.
Oh, and the fan gets in the way of the ball." I would hate to be that guy. No,
His
that would
wife
suck.
should leave him.
His wife should leave him. I think he's probably still a Cubs fan. I think he talked to some different outlets in 2016 when the Cubs won the World Series.
We'll do a follow up. We'll
see if we can
for this week.
get a
We're
Bartman
gonna find
interview.
some of these, like the Bill Buckner for the Red Sox.
That's another good momentum changing play. But he was at least involved in the game again, not like just a total outsider.
Yeah, but like
it's so hard to think of other situations where there was
Yeah.
a complete outsider that had an impact on the game.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, next week I would like to revisit some more people, even if it's not necessarily correlated like that with walk-ons, just history in sports of people who must have felt like they were on an island.
Yeah.
You know.
And not Revis.
Yeah. No, Revis, that good island,
The good
Bartman,
island.
Parker Jones, terrible. That's Guantanamo Bay.
Not a good island.
But I will say that football playoffs are in the air.
Yeah, before we get out of the college football playoffs,
sorry.
I just want to get your final four picks. I just want to get your final four picks. Who does it come down to? We got Ohio State versus Texas, Notre Dame versus Penn State.
I think it will be Ohio State versus Notre Dame, and Ryan Day cannot win the big one. He chokes against Michigan. He chokes. He cannot. He is a mental little person.
Oh, there you go.
He is a mental little person when it comes to big games. Ryan Day, they are the best team in college football. I don't think there's any argument.
Say, hey, Ryan Day, you're going to go
They will lose to Notre Dame.
Okay.
17-33 in.
Yeah, that's a good little guessy guess.
33. It's a weird number.
33 is?
I'm going to go with it, though. Something crazy will happen and get to 33.
Yeah, okay, I can dig it. I'm going to say, I think you're probably pretty close to right there with both those teams, but I think I'd rather see, I don't know. I'd rather see Texas play Notre Dame, but I think it's more likely Ohio State wins. I think Notre Dame wins the championship. Texas is my second guess. Ohio State third. Penn State fourth.
You think Texas beats OSU?
Yes, I think Texas defense tightens it up, and they're going to focus in. They're going to take away Ohio State's couple big targets on their throwing game, try to shut that down, and then they're going to have to try to run the ball. I think the Texas D line is going to get a lot of pressure on the quarterbacks.
Pulling up odds. Let's look at the odds of this.
Well, do it. Odd me, Blazer.
I want to see what if we. Come on, gotta get my face scanned. I want to see what the numbers would be if both of our futures. You said Notre Dame over Texas.
Yeah, that's what I figure. Hell, I don't know. I'm no expert.
So Notre Dame winning the national championship is at plus 450. Texas plus 450. Ohio State minus 130. I wish I could see it if I can just. I wish I could see what if they had a actual stat if you had the exact game picked correctly, right. But they don't. So right now I can just tell you that either one of ours is plus 450, which means if you put 100 in, you win $450 on either of those.
Yeah,
now, Ohio State.
I don't
is
feel
minus
that confidently about it.
You have to bet 150 on Ohio State just to win 100.
Yeah,
Penn State. Everybody's kind of counting out.
Yeah,
but Joe knew.
Joe
Paul knew. And I think that's
you got some good matchups though. I think that Penn State versus Notre Dame is like a classic matchup.
They have not, and I don't think will ever outlive that.
I guess only time will tell. I mean,
when
they're still
State,
relevant.
Is that still one of the first things that comes to your mind?
Sure, yeah, and it probably will, like you said, for a while. But I think that people that have become fans of the sport in the last 10 years because they were maybe 5 years old when
that's
that
a dangerous time. That you don't want to be 5 years old and become a fan of Penn State.
Yikes! No, I'm saying that they weren't aware of the story as it was breaking because they were younger. I think that it's getting to the point where those younger fans might not necessarily think of that with Penn State as synonymously as we do, or people that are a little older than us do. You know what I'm saying? I just don't. I think that it's starting to live past it.
Joe Paul knew.
Go Paul New. So we got our college football predictions in. Time to move on to the NFL playoffs. The bracket is set. We're down to our final teams, and it was on August 26th. We put out an episode where Xavi walked us through his way too early predictions, and honestly, he did pretty good.
I'd like to say this too, because we did go back and we listened, and okay, so AFC North, I had the Baltimore Ravens winning.
Yeah.
And
Ravens.
They did win.
Yeah, that's pretty good there.
The AFC East was the next team, and this is where this is a dark spot. And I did on the episode, I said I could put my foot in my mouth. I didn't. This is August 26th. The only time there's 2 weeks of the year where I'm allowed to be a Jets fan and be happy and optimistic.
And
no longer. They've beaten that out of me.
No more optimistic views.
I don't give a fuck if Tom Brady gets reincarnated. He comes in at 28 years old. We have a 25-year-old Barry Sanders, Randy Moss, Jerry Rice at the receivers, the best O-line in history, the best defense in history. We will not win the Super Bowl. That was wrong of me. Let me get that out of the way. We suck. Never, ever, ever will I have any expectations other than disappointment from them. But I did predict them not only to win the division, I think I ended up with Super Bowl II, but that was a miss. AFC West, Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And for the side note, if you could confirm, Bob, I said look out for Bo Nix surprising some people.
Yeah, Xavi with the big call to the Broncos fans to be ready, and little did he know he was going to be right. So, mark it up for the good boys.
AFC South, I did have Texans, but then they won. But I don't think this is a Texans team I was expecting. They're kind of limping in.
Mm-hmm.
C.J. Stroud is in a sophomore slump.
What do you think of that matchup they pulled? The Chargers first round.
The Chargers with John Harbaugh win.
I think that's probably. What do you think? That's the least looked forward to matchup for this first round of playoffs?
Is that the Saturday night Amazon Prime game?
I think so.
Is it? Yeah. I didn't know if that's what you had pulled up.
I just have the generic bracket for this weekend pulled up. Okay. I don't have the times and the broadcasts.
So I had Texans winning preseason, and they did win. NFC North. Now, this is my second thing. I'd like to apologize. I did have the division winner correctly. I had the Lions. But in that podcast, I said, Vikings suck. Sorry, Billy. And you know what?
You did say that.
The Vikings finished 14-3. I've been rooting for them.
Hell of a division. We said
all year.
You guessed that we were both saying that we thought that the AFC North would be not the North, the one with the Cincinnati. We said we thought that the AFC North would be the most competitive division in football. It turns out the NFC North was probably the most competitive division in football. Never before had you had two teams with 14 wins.
Which we did touch on the NFC North being competitive. We just got it wrong. Well, I got it wrong. I said the Bears would be competitive. And I said the Vikings would be last.
Just to correct live, we have Houston Texans playing the Chargers at 3:30 Central on CBS on Saturday. The night game will be Baltimore and Pittsburgh. And that's on Prime.
Okay.
And you know, I don't think Pittsburgh is much of a good team at all this year, but I do love me a classic Steelers and Ravens matchup, you know, so I'll probably tune into that one for show.
Yeah, I think that'll be a blowout, but we'll get into predictions after this.
Oh, okay.
In the NFC South, I had the Falcons, and that did go into the last week of the season, them and the Bucks. Bucks did win. Falcons blew it, but, you know, I didn't really have much faith in that division overall anyway. NFC East, and this is where I'm going to plant my flag and say, bada boom, bada bing.
Bada boom, bada bing.
I picked the Eagles to win, but in there,
Fly Eagles.
Go back to August 26th, listen to this, because I said, I am predicting the Commanders to have a resurgence this year.
Yeah.
And I even said, mark my words, Jaden Daniels will lead this team and surprise a lot of people. So, as much as I blew it with the Vikings and Jets overall, I was happy listening back and hearing that.
Just let the record show that we addressed old takes and we acknowledge where there was errors and where there was greatness.
You know,
none of these current talking heads talk about any of their old takes. They say things and they're moving on. They don't acknowledge any of their old takes.
Yeah, you have to. If you're going to be a takesmith and you're going to celebrate your victories, popping champagne, you got to be able to eat the crow that comes with it. And I spit in the Vikings' face preseason. Said, sorry, Billy. Yeah. No, I should have been saying, sorry, Nick, because you're a sorry-ass Jets fan, dude. That's what I should have been saying. I should have apologized to my future self for being as excited as I was.
Yeah, we were a little higher on Miami. Thought that they were going to have a better year maybe than they put out.
But again, that's
you never know
with
what's
the NFC West. I had the Niners, and
yeah.
I kind of put the Dolphins, Niners, very injury-riddled season.
Fucking Rams.
And that's part of football. Injuries, you can't predict them. Mm-hmm. Like if Josh Allen gets hurt for Buffalo, that team's done. If Kansas City loses Pat Mahomes, they're done. Detroit, I think they've shown that they can rally around. That's a lot of
they've gone through some injuries this year.
5 injured starters on defense, and they're still just.
They're a tough team.
4th down stop after 4th down stop against Minnesota.
That's just that's conviction.
And Sam Darnold, gosh damn man,
everybody can kind of put together X's and O's, but to be able to lead a group of people to have as much buy-in as the Detroit franchise and team has got the last few years it takes a lot of special talent to be able to do that. So nothing but respect for Dan Campbell
and their whole coaching staff
and all that.
You can become a victim of your own success. But I was going to say with the Lions, it's one thing to be considered basement dwellers for decades and come out, which Detroit did. But then they enter this season for maybe the first time ever with expectations of being this.
Yeah.
And you could argue that also could crumble a team.
100%.
So not only have they been on the winning side of it when nobody counted them on, then you add all these expectations. They're still doing it. Now go to the victim of their own success. 2 of the biggest names in new head coaching jobs is OC Ben Johnson, DC Aaron Glenn. It's like
that's kind of that's like you said it's the blessings and the curse of having such a good staff and a good team is your best coaches will always be in risk of being poached, and that's a big reason why you're seeing so much retirement with college coaches and stuff. They're just tired of the turnover and the 24-hour games that they have to play with these recruits and stuff. But anyway, back to the NFL. So we've kind of gone over your preseason predictions and how they played out. You were pretty accurate. We'll go through the playoff brackets now.
Let's do it, girl.
So we'll just start with the Chargers and the Texans because we had already touched on them a little bit. Who do you got?
Like I said, C.J. Stroud is kind of facing a sophomore slump. I do think he bounces back. I think he's good. But I do think that John Harbaugh wins. He brings a winning culture everywhere he goes.
The Chargers will move on, and they will face the Chiefs in the next round after that.
Okay. But we'll wait to do that game.
We'll come back around. And so then you're looking at Baltimore and Steelers. I think we both feel like the Ravens should win that game pretty handedly.
And let me just do a quick aside here. Lamar Jackson, I've mentioned time and time again that is my favorite player in the NFL. He is who I think should be the MVP this year. I get it, the whole Josh Allen thing.
Yep. And then you have Josh Allen, other MVP potential versus Denver, coming off a big win.
Ooh.
What do you think? Who's going to win it? Is it obvious that it's going to be Buffalo, or do you think there's a chance that Denver shocks them?
I think there's a chance that Denver shocks them.
Is that the most likely game for an upset of all these AFC matchups?
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree. I'd say.
Because Buffalo probably wins that game, but part of me wants to pick Denver. Because I think that Sean Payton is a better coach than Sean McDermott.
Yeah.
And
So what are you going to go with if I'm putting the thumb screws down? Say pick one.
Buffalo wins.
So let's just roll through the AFC until we get to the championship game here. So then you'd have KC versus the Chargers and Baltimore versus Buffalo. Let's start with the Lamar versus Allen head to head. Who do you pick? I mean, I
Baltimore.
I think, yeah, that'd be a hell of a game. I want Baltimore to win, so I'd have to pick Baltimore too.
Now, it's tough. Baltimore already beat their ass earlier this year, but
yeah,
it's hard to beat a team twice, especially a Buffalo.
and that game would be in Buffalo. Yeah, because of the seeding.
But it's okay. Baltimore has lost plenty of times when they were the 1 seed.
Yeah.
I think they got Derrick Henry, and you know that playoffs, a running game is so important.
Big time. Yeah.
So Baltimore, Kansas City.
And Kansas City, that'd be a hell of an AFC Championship game. I'm there for it. So I guess let's slide over to the NFC side of things. Vikings and Rams. Skull. Yeah.
Now, I
hope so.
I thought Minnesota would run through them, but Sam Darnold looked like I've been talking him up all year, and he just laid a fucking egg.
Yeah.
But Minnesota, I like to think they bounced back. They had a little wake up sesh.
Yeah. Let's go Minnesota. Because why? Because fuck the Rams.
Yeah. So we got Minnesota over the Rams.
Yep. So now we're looking at Washington and Tampa Bay.
Good game. NFC, a lot more intriguing matchups.
I think so. I think there's more competitive balance across the league.
And you're not even getting to the best game of the weekend.
Right.
You know what that is.
Well, there's only one left, and that's Green Bay and Philadelphia, brother.
But, okay, going to that, I'm going to go Tampa.
Yeah.
And I know I talked up.
I think I'm on Washington's side. I think that they're feeling themselves a lot right now. I just think of momentum-wise that Washington's hot going into it.
And I know I just had said that Washington was going to surprise a lot of people, and they did.
But they did, yeah.
But overall, they have not really beaten any teams. Like, they're 12-5, great record. But those 12 wins are not very impressive. I think one of the best teams to beat this year was Cincinnati, who didn't make the playoffs.
That sucks. I love me some
Mike
Cincinnati.
Evans, and first of all, Buccaneers. Mike Evans, did you see that play to get him 1,000 yards?
Missed it.
So Mike Evans has had 1,000 yards in his first 10 seasons. Coming into that last game, he needed, I think, 90-something yards. Well, he needed 5 more yards to get it. Tampa Bay's only up 8 points, and they could have just kneeled the ball out to clinch the division. Mm-hmm. Because if they lost and Atlanta won, they're out of the playoffs. They get the ball back, and instead of kneeling it out, they throw to Mike Evans to get his 5 yards, $3 million bonus for getting it. And I just think, the whole team was going crazy.
Yeah.
The camaraderie there. Obviously, they love Mike. And just stuff like that, I think, is...
It does go a long way, that kind of stuff.
And shout out to Mike Evans. 11 straight years of 1,000 yards.
He's a beast.
You can say extra game this year, but he was hurt. He only played in 13, so...
Yeah. No,
pretty cool.
I'm a fan of Mike Evans. So you're picking Tampa there, and all right, let's look at the Green Bay and Philadelphia.
This should be a good one. I'm
gonna pick Eagles. That's just who I want to win.
Eagles have been doing it all year. Saquon is obviously
boost.
But I'm going Green Bay Packers here.
Ooh, Xavi's got the Packers. So just going off of your picks, then we would end up with Packers and Tampa Bay playing each other, and that would be it at Tampa Bay.
Really?
Yeah, Tampa Bay is a 3 seed.
Detroit, Minnesota again?
That would be correct. We could end up with a rematchy match of that, and that would be in Detroit for that one, though. This one.
Oh my God! Again, well, the last one was just in Detroit.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. So let's go with the Tampa and Green Bay matchup first. Who do you got?
Green Bay.
Wow. So you're saying Green Bay, and then, Vikings and Lions, a rematch for the third time. Are they split this year, or is Lions taking both those?
Lions have taken both.
It's hard to win 3 games against the same team.
It is hard to win a game.
Almost every time you've ever seen it, it's usually gone.
And for that reason, I'm going to take this opportunity to Vikings over Lions.
Wow. Xavi went from saying the Vikings were going to have a down year in August to saying he's going to be in the NFC Championship game.
Where they face another team for the third time. And they beat Green Bay twice.
Isn't this a wild world we live in?
It's the NFC North world.
It is. That goes to show the strength of that division this year.
Oh, and I just used that logic to say Minnesota over Detroit. But Minnesota digs deep. They dig deep.
I see what you did there.
By God, Minnesota is going to the Super Bowl.
The Purple People Eaters versus
And they will
the
be
Chiefs.
taking God, Lamar Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
It is a purple, everything purple. Where is Prince? He's going to be
everything purple in New
get him
Orleans this
back,
year, baby.
dude. Bring it back. It's going to be
That'd be
purple,
fun.
purple,
Purple rain in
and
New
this
Orleans,
is where
yeah.
Minnesota. I'm sorry again, Billy. Their reign comes
Yeah.
to an end.
Okay.
Because Lamar, he's won MVPs. He's won Heismans. He's done this. He's done that, and everything in between. But win the
He's going
Lombardi.
to crest this mountaintop this year, you're saying,
Lamar
yeah?
Jackson will be the Super Bowl winner.
Lifting up the Lombardi.
And it was a great effort, Minnesota. But
Yeah.
Lamar is the new king in town.
Okay. All right. I like it. I think I'm feeling pretty good about this breakdown of how the playoffs are going to run out.
We will revisit this on your birthday episode.
Actually, yeah, probably so. Somewhere around then. My God, the Super Bowl is later and later every year, huh? When is it? It's like February 9th or something this year.
Yeah. So we'll do one celebrating Rob's 33rd.
What do you think? Do you think the day after the Super Bowl should be a holiday?
Yep.
All right, next topic.
Yes, I do.
Easy.
In America,
discussion.
for sure, dude. What the?
Yeah, I mean, we got Memorial Day, Labor Day off. We need.
Can we trade? Can we trade one of those? Memorial Day,
Oh,
Labor Day.
Labor Day. Yeah, fuck
We'll
the
trade
workers.
Labor Day. We'll trade Labor Day. What's the one that people go to lakes and stuff? Memorial Day?
Both of them.
Labor Day is like September.
It's like the end of summer, but it's still pool time. It's still lake
All
time.
right, what do we want to trade in?
Valentine's Day, dude. Can we trade Valentine's Day?
Well, you don't get the day off for Valentine's Day.
That's true. Fuck. What's another 3-day
Veterans.
weekend? Martin Luther King Day?
Whoa, no.
You can't trade that day off?
What
President's Day?
We'll trade in President's Day.
Yeah. For day after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
All right, deal.
We just made it.
Who do we talk to for that? How do we make
Probably
it?
the same person that is in charge of changing the names of bodies of water.
There you go. That's a great place to start. I think that if anybody would have the power to do it, this man's out here making big waves
and changing the names of them.
Specifically, yeah. What do you think? Gulf of America?
So Donald Trump is changing Gulf of Mexico
That's what he's
to the Gulf of America.
He's
And
threatening. I guess, this
threatening. Is that a threat?
promising?
Promising.
He's talking about doing? I mean, this is the same guy that promised lower gas and food prices, and so now he's focused on renaming bodies of water instead. I don't know.
All-encompassing presidential campaign.
Nonetheless, it seems like we're going to have 4 years of interesting headlines. Nonetheless. It's the Gulf of Mexico. The body of water takes up the entire coastline of that country. I don't understand why it matters, why it feels important that we need to take that over and be like, no, this is our Gulf. Gulf of America. Whatever, dude. Not important. Not important.
I mean, this is our country, dude. And you can either you can either get with the patriotism,
or you can get the hell out, brother. I guess.
Now they're talking about making Canada 2 states.
Yeah, how can we just say, hey, Canada, you know how you're a country and all, but we've decided that you should be part of the United States.
Canada would have to be like, because what I've heard is that Canada is kind of in the dumps financially.
Maybe. I also heard talks of Trump wants to have Greenland become a U.S. territory again and also bring back the Panama Canal to U.S. control.
Look at this.
He's just said, I'm going to grow the empire.
Will be no
what a world.
shortage of headlines this year.
No shortage of no shortage of headlines at all. And that's
It's a great time to be a podcaster.
Yep. And honestly, most of we've kind of talked about this in other episodes, and I'll just bring it back up and make sure that people don't ever forget. Almost all headlines and all news is perpetuated by large corporations to keep us not paying attention to them.
The Gulf of They should call it the Gulf of Pfizer.
Or the Gulf of fucking BP oil.
Gulf
you know?
of BP oil.
Yeah.
Gulf of Apple.
Whoever's going to pay the most money, that's what we let everything else get by
Let's
with.
rename all the states.
Sponsorships.
Yes.
Yeah. Our state would probably be either
You know how-
Mellencrot or Enterprise State. One of those two.
Mallinckrodt.
Yeah. Gosh.
Missouri. Home state of Big Pharma.
Yeah. And big chemicals. Monsanto. Now Bear. I tell you, we got a rich history of some
I like the
tied
idea,
in
too, of
government
like,
problems.
you know, it starts with the hockey players and baseball players wearing. Now, imagine you get pulled over and your police officer has a little Enterprise patch sewn onto his.
Yeah, why shouldn't my municipality be able to sell sponsorships on the police officers' cars? They'll
We
be
might
looking.
be having an idea of how to improve this.
Yeah, just sell everything for corporate sponsorship, dude. Sell out to. I mean,
you
we
imagine?
basically already make all of our policies based off of corporate sponsorship. So why not just go ahead and make it?
STLPD brought to you by PepsiCo.
Yeah, all the cars start to look like NASCARs.
Fucking
They just
awesome.
got
Who says no?
Twinkies advertised on the windshields.
Hostess.
Oh God! What a world! What a world!
This would be awesome. Oh shit! Can you?
It'll be public housing sponsored by General Motors.
dude. Think about how much money that would generate.
What would it generate money from?
Public library brought to you by DraftKings.
But they don't make any money on the sponsorship.
Oh, that's right. You need money there. Now the public library is not free anymore.
Yeah, you're gonna have a subscription, probably. You know, $10.99 a month for.
This is capitalistic society, and you know,
If you're not making us money, you're costing us money. That's the way basically it's.
big
you're looking
pharma,
at.
big chemicals, big soda, big everything. Nothing should be free. We should all be
Yes.
working for the man by the end of 2025.
Yep. And once all of your body's energy has been drained by capitalists and using you to make their products, they're dumped. You're dumped. They said this person is useless. State, Medicare, take care of him. We're done sponsoring this person to live. We can't make
Don't
any
they
more
already
money
do
off
that?
them. What?
Isn't that how it already works?
Yeah, but I'm saying that's how it works because we allow corporations to just use this and then not pay for anything down the road, not have to pay for that Medicare. They say it's the government's problem at that point, but it's not the government's problem when they're using us for our labor or our energy. Hell no. I don't know. We'll just decided to take us on that little detour just so we keep everything in perspective.
The Gulf of America, is that official yet?
No, the man's not even officially in the office quite yet, so he can't make that happen. I don't think.
What will the Mississippi River be?
Oh, who would probably pay the most for the Mississippi River? Probably some casino.
Anheuser-Busch.
No, they're owned by a holding agency in another country. They don't care to have their
InBev.
name out there. Yeah, InBev. I know what they're called. I know what they're called.
Well, who wants it?
It's probably going to be some like casino, Hollywood Casino
Contact me or Rob.
River. We're selling off sponsorships.
We're playing the middle ground, yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to name a state, a landmark, we'll play middleman here.
None of this under the table business no more. Stop making backdoor deals to get stuff done with the governments. Let's just bring it all out to the forefront. And if you're paying for something to be done, put your name on it, corporations.
What will the Rocky Mountains be called in 2027?
Those will be the Amazon
Ooh,
Rocky Mountains, probably.
I like it.
Because Amazon's going to pay for a whole new set of tunnels and bridges to be built so they can deliver their stuff more efficiently.
So then you have the Amazon rainforest and then the
Yeah,
Amazon.
the Amazon mountains.
This is awesome.
This is great. Why haven't we done this before?
Obviously, this is satirical takes on it. But you gotta be clear these days.
Yeah, hashtag S or whatever / Fuck, I don't
Being
know.
satirical.
Good times have.
Okay, so I think that's basically everything I kind of wanted to touch on. I did read a little interesting little tidbit I'll rush through real quick. Something
Yeah.
I hadn't thought of years was the Goosebumps book franchise by
Yeah.
R.L. Stein. If you remember,
Yeah,
I just kind of watched the downfall of that. And once again, what do you think was at the forefront of that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I hadn't thought of that book series in a while. I thought that it was doing okay. There was like a TV series, Goosebumps, that made a resurgence in the last few years.
Too, but greed and corporate greed, once again, to tie this all in. That's why I wanted to bring it in. It was so they originally were under the Umbrella publishing agency with R.L. Stine and his wife. Like, she basically encouraged him in the late 70s when teens were really interested in reading kind of spooky novels. Mm-hmm. So he started doing that, and he started getting pretty good at it. They were kind of taking up the charts. Going into the late 80s, he had kind of made a pretty good name for himself. But that's when grade school, middle school kids started showing an interest in being spooked as well. Yeah. So then R.L. Stine started the Goosebumps franchise, which after some early success, there was a deal made by Umbrella Publishing Company and Scholastic, who was famous for their book fairs.
Yes.
Where they would go around, and for a week at a time, they'd be in schools. You remember them.
Oh, God, yeah.
They were
big deal.
Fucking awesome.
Still doing book fairs.
And so through Scholastic, Goosebumps took off. And so Scholastic's like, we got us one through that. I didn't even know that Goosebumps show was a Scholastic's production as well.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So, and then like now all of a sudden, like this is going into 96, 97, Goosebumps is at its height. It's making all this money. The TV show's doing well. The kids love it. The books are coming. He's making now TV, like made for TV books and all kinds of stuff. So then the Umbrella Publishing Company, who had kind of sold the rights to partner with Scholastic, was like, hey, now we kind of want to rework this deal, yada, yada.
Where's our money?
A big deal was made, and there was a lot of outs for Scholastic to say, if you breach this contract, we can void it. And, eventually, that's just kind of what happened was after they remade this deal with that publishing company, just greed got in the way. R.L. Stine was, obviously,
Worked
and his
out.
wife wanted more of the money and all this stuff. So I always kind of thought in my head it was just a natural kind of decline in interest. But once again, if you dig deep enough, money was what ended this one-time giant, something I remember that in the Animorphs growing up as being like the huge books.
Yeah, as a series that was popular and by no fault of the person that brought those ideas to life, those became less accessible for people because, like you said, money gets in the way. It's standard practice, suck the soul out of things.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting. It's just one of those things that you never really think about, like Goosebumps. It came across my timeline. Like, what happened to the Goosebumps series? Why did it fall from its height of popularity? So it was like a 20-minute watch, and I was intrigued.
Yeah, they were definitely popular at the time. Like I said, I thought that I had heard just a few years ago that there was like a series that was being revitalized and trying to be put out for the
I think I've seen that too, maybe on Roku channel.
Sure. I can't remember. I'll have to take...
But anyway, that was just a little tidbit throw in. I think that this...
A little tidbit. Yeah, everybody likes a little tidbit.
That's what I try to bring to the table.
Well,
we covered giant assortments.
Yeah, a nice plethora of topics today.
Once again, we love the feedback. I'll try to be a little more prepared today.
Nope, I don't prepare.
Bob's not salty at all.
Salty?
He didn't.
No.
He didn't. Before I came, he didn't even know there was any comments made. But I do like the comments, and I like the feedback.
I like feedback.
Like I said, one of my New Year's resolutions is to really put a lot of focus on this. I think in the right direction as far as that goes. I'm now, I said at the beginning of the episode, I'm back at Rosalita's. That's only 15 minutes from here. Rosalita's. So it's a lot easier to get here in a pinch.
Yeah. We should probably make it a little bit more regular, hopefully. I mean, we've been doing all right. We're a week out now. Back to back. Bow, bow, bow.
And we will. We will not miss a week this year. We'll record the day of Bob's wedding, actually.
Maybe so. Could happen. Could happen, Captain.
Well,
as we get towards the end of these episodes, I just always find myself kicking through my brain, making sure there's nothing that I missed that I wanted to bring to the forefront. And I just, I think we've covered it all today. Was there anything left hanging in your mind?
Nothing left hanging. It's all out there.
It's all out there, baby.
I feel free as a bird.
Nick says free as a bird now. Yep.
Will that be at your wedding?
I don't know.
I will yell it 10 times.
All right. Well,
I know the band.
talk to the band. See what they can do.
Free bird.
Yeah.
Can we change the outro?
Change the outro of what? Oh, to just break out on the Leonard Skinner today.
That next next episode. Put this in the dossier. We will cover best 5 guitar solos.
Top 4. Come on, Mount
Top
Rushmore.
4. Mount Rushmore of guitar solos.
All right, that's coming. Something to look forward to for next episode.
Mount Rushmore of guitar solos will be next episode.
Yep.
Thanks everybody. Love you guys.